Okay, welcome back to the program here for this Wednesday, March the 12th. Marek and Zach Phillips along with you once again. We finished up the show yesterday by sort of apologizing for going Broadway on you yesterday. I know it was a longer show than you're probably used to, somewhere around 90 minutes. We like to keep it tight and bright around 60. So maybe we'll do, Philly, maybe we'll do a little bit less today. Maybe we'll be like you at the gym. Here's how I imagine you at the gym being like. It's kind of like this. Come in, crack your knuckles, have a drink of water. Philly, what are you doing today? Buys, tries, 5 on the bike, and I'm out. Is that what it's going to be like today? Buys, tries, 5 on the bike, and I'm gone. Is that you at the gym?
Not what I'm like at the gym. I don't want that narrative out there. Let's put an end to that one right away. Come on.
I think it just may say buys, tries, 5 on the bike, I'm out. Zach Phillips.
No, I put in some work in the gym. That's why every morning cup of hockey, I'm in there watching it. I'm on the bike. I'm in for like 35, 40 on the bike, and then do about 40, 45 in the weights. Move around there.
Good boy. Good boy. One thing I want to clean up off the top of the show here today. Not that we're somehow like the show of record. Okay, like I'm not positioning ourselves like the New York Times. Something in this just in from the ombudsman. And just because I like to be pacific about these things, as we say in the Atlantic, I gave out a Winston Churchill. You shake your head all you want. Get used to it, man. Like, I don't know how long you're going to want to stick around and work for me, but you're going to hear some bad lines along the way.
It's terrible.
Just start giving out random punchlines, right?
God.
On the show. No, you shower and I'll show her. Huh? What? Oh, welcome back to the I gave out a quote yesterday from Winston Churchill, which I had a little bit wrong. The actual quote is, and I really love this one, because yesterday we talked a lot about lies. In wartime, Winston Churchill, in wartime, truth is so precious that she should always be attended by a bodyguard of lies. One of the great questions, by the way, to ask managers is always, would you lie for your team? I remember I asked Berkey that once, and he said, duh. What do you think? Of course. Okay, so we got that one out there. A couple of things from yesterday, too. And by the way, we're going to talk a lot about the Swords today, so Buffalo Sabres conversation, and we will talk about Rasmus Dahlin. We did talk to Paul Bissonnette on the show yesterday about that situation. Paul passing along what he had heard about a meeting between Kevyn Adams and Rasmus Dahlin, in which Dahlin essentially said, like, make this happen or I'm out of here. The only thing that I've been able to discover is that there was a meeting. I don't know who called the meeting. I don't know what was said at the meeting, but I do know that there was a meeting between the two. That's what my information has led me to here today, Zach Phillips. But again, I don't know what was said at the meeting. We will talk to Lance Lysowski about this and other Buffalo Sabres issues. And by the way, man, like, you look at that game against the Edmonton Oilers the other night, like, Connor McDavid's in town, and still it's costume party and everyone's dressed up as empty seats. It's bad there. So Lance Lysowski's coming up on the program. In the meantime, cleaned up the one comment there by Winston Churchill. I did want to add one more thing from our conversation with Eric Tulsky, GM of the Carolina Hurricanes, from yesterday. Thought about this a little bit yesterday. There's sort of one of the reasons why I like Tulsky is there's an undercurrent of simplicity in everything that he says and does. First of all, he's, as I've made the point before, when you look at his resume, if you look at what he's qualified to do and the number of patents that he holds, when you look at like all the possible jobs Eric Tulsky could do, this is the one that probably pays the least, but might be the most fun. And that's what he chooses to do. But again, like the great line from Slapshot, look at Ned. He doesn't need hockey. Eric Tulsky doesn't need hockey. And I think that's what makes him an intriguing manager here. Like, he could walk away tomorrow and just do something completely different and earn himself an international reputation doing it. But he chooses to be involved here. And I think you have a certain amount of power when you don't need to have the job that you have. Like, there's no desperation, because if things don't work out, Okay, I'll move on and I'll do something else. Or in this case, with the Mikko Rantanen situation, did you not get the sense? Like I went back and watched it yesterday again because I think we're all trying to figure out like who this guy is, what he's all about, how he feels, and how he thinks. When you listen to Tulsky talk, do you not get a sort of vibe of, I'm going to try a bunch of things. I'm going to be bold. I'm not going to be reckless. I'm not going to be sloppy or stupid about it. But I'm going to try a lot of different things here. And I'm going to hope, because we're dealing with human beings in sports here, that most of them work. And if they do, we'll come out on the right side. Like there's kind of an element of Tulsky that kind of goes like this. If we win games, people will love us. If we lose games, people will hate us. Everything in between is noise. Everything in between is noise. That is the vibe very much that I get from Eric Tulsky. I don't know what you took away from it yesterday, but that was my big sort of vibe takeaway from Tulsky.
Yeah, one of the things I thought was interesting, I came from like a background of working for people who were professional bettors, and like that's what they do. That's how they make their living, and a lot of them kind of approach things from an analytical standpoint, and it's. Sure. I didn't realize it until after, but it's kind of similar to what Tulsky was talking about, where, you know, you get people who build models and project teams out, but it's like, okay, put this player here. This should work because these guys are worth this much to a team and score this many goals or prevent, whatever. There's also the element of how many times something needs to work versus for something to fail for you to be successful in the long run. And that was kind of the takeaway I had from Tulsky, where he was approaching it from, yeah, we're going to bring in Mikko Rantanen, which, sure, let's go look at what does to your model and how you're going to be successful from that. But what's the other side of this? What's the back end? What's the failure situation? How often does that failure situation come about? If it does, how detrimental is it? Like, it kind of seems like there was always those plans and thoughts in mind about how many times is this going to have to happen for us to be successful? Are we willing to take that risk? Yeah. And I just get a vibe and the opinion. Like, I heard Colby, I think he said on Morning Cup of Hockey, I'll paraphrase, I don't want to like put words in his mouth, but like, would they be gun shy was kind of what they alluded to. I highly doubt Eric Tulsky will be gun shy about any situation. Like, keep firing. I can't see this being something that he goes, no, not going to do it. And if you're a GM or owner, president, and you're in there in Carolina, and you watch that, he recovered. Like, sure, it's not as good of a team as it was with Mikko Rantanen. If Mikko Rantanen was playing at his best, mind you, because he wasn't there in Carolina, that's another thing to point out. But he got back on his feet. Like, he figured this thing out. They're not a train wreck now going, where the hell are we going to go? What do we do with this team? We have a massive hole. Like, I thought this was a pretty good job by Tulsky, but it was like contingency plans and preparing for failure if that came up.
Fascinating guy. And I think we're all trying to get a sort of handle on how this guy's going to operate. And that was a big piece of that puzzle. All right. Coming up on today's program, Daily Outlines, presented by our friends and partners at FanDuel, North America's #1 sportsbook app provider. And coming up on the show today, listen, we know things aren't great in Buffalo, but it's always, as we like to say, even low-hanging fruit is nutritious. Lots to talk about with the Buffalo Sabres, not just the players, but the fan base as well, the future of the manager, the future of the coach, et cetera, and all the way down the situation with Rasmus Dahlin. Lance Lysowski from the Buffalo News will stop by. Huge game tonight, Vancouver and Calgary. Tough one last night for Vancouver. They drop one to the Montreal Canadiens, get doubled up in the process, and don't look now, but the Habs are only 2 points out of a playoff spot. They'll face off against Seattle tonight. So we'll look forward to those two games, and we'll talk plenty about Vancouver and Calgary. Here's a question we ask on the sheet today, tongue-in-cheek, because we're going to present some video to you and have a little talk about it. Did the Maple Leafs just pick up a new enforcer at deadline? We'll explain coming up shortly here on the sheet. I think you'll like this one. And the triangle is something that we've talked about for a while here on the program. I do enjoy it when people now start to send me, and I'm not sure if you get some of the videos as well on Twitter X, on social media, but people sending you videos of players shooting at the triangle and scoring. Well, Matt Zuccarello did it again yesterday. We're going to talk more about the triangle. And hey, all you left-hand shots, fire in the triangle and finding the back of the net. Matt Zuccarello has been doing it for a long time. We will talk plenty about the triangle today and draw your attention to it, because it's one of those things, hey, Zach, where the minute you see it once, you won't stop seeing it every single time it happens. And then you can play hipster with all your buddies when you say, oh, he went 5-hole. And you can say, well, actually, he's shooting at the triangle.
Yeah.
You could be that guy amongst your friends. 5-hole.
I can't wait to show the video.
That's so 5 minutes ago, the 5-hole.
It's the video we have today, too, is a perfect, just depiction of the triangle and not 5-hole as well. Because, there's somewhere it comes in different angles where you can't really tell, but you're kind of like, he went for the triangle. The video we have today, I'm excited to show people because it is very much attached to the triangle.
Yes, very much. And Kawadi in the chat says the triangle is an underrated instrument. Yes, it is. Much like the xylophone. I always liked the xylophone. I always thought that was a really cool accompanying instrument, and even solo.
Pretty sure that's what I played in elementary school.
Yeah, you played xylophone? See, I played percussion, so I got to do like timpani and xylophone too, and I did get to play triangle.
Okay.
And
xylophone, that was mine. Yeah.
Yep, all good. Before we get Lance on, do you want to do this Leafs Enforcer thing? Because we can pick it up after Lance, but I just want to make sure that we get this video out here. You want to do it? You have it queued up?
Yeah.
Okay, so
let's do this.
This I say completely tongue-in-cheek, and we're going to go back to 2010 for this. Hold on, let me set this one up. 2010, minor hockey, GTHL, stateside youth hockey. So the top team in the loop in the GTHL that year was a team called the Nats, but the biggest rivalry was the Marlboros versus JRC, the Junior Canadians, not unlike the Maple Leafs and the Habs. Wear the same jerseys, essentially. Same colors. How about that? And at the first ever GTHL Prospects game at the old North York Arena, which is called the Herb Carnegie Arena, in honor of the first black hockey player who should have been in the NHL, Herb Carnegie, the first GTHL Prospects game was played. Scott Laughton played on the Toronto Marlboros. Scott Laughton now is former Philadelphia Flyer, now Toronto Maple Leaf. Playing on JRC was the high-scoring Tom Wilson. And in the third period of the very first GTHL Top Prospects game, those two decided to throw down. But you've seen it before. When there's buckets on, everyone leaves the mitts on. Not in this one. Scott Laughton, Tom Wilson, GTHL Top Prospects game from Herb Carnegie Arena. This is the fight. I have a story for you afterwards. Hit it, Philly. Puck is in the corner. There we go. Wilson and Laughton. Buckets are coming off. Wilson in red. Laughton in white. Laughton gets free. Lands a couple shots. Pretty good win there from Scott Laughton.
Pretty good tilt.
Pretty good tilt for 15-year-olds. And there's Wendell Clark, if you're watching. Who would have been coaching the Nats at that point, by the way. Was a celebrity coach on that one. I think he was coaching the Nats at that point. Celebrity coach in that one. So the story that I was always told was that, and I don't know how long this happened, but for a while, Tom Wilson always wanted to go again to try to get his win back, because Scott Laughton was 1-0 over Tom Wilson in their fight in the GTHL, the inaugural GTHL Top Prospects game. Sneaky tough guy, Scott Laughton. Or did he peak when he was 15? Philly, you're a Maple Leafs fan. What do you say? Scott Laughton with a victory over Tom Wilson. Should he just retire undefeated?
Our guy holds the belts That's all we need. Shut it down. Tougher than Tom Wilson. That's the addition that we made as the Toronto Maple Leafs at the deadline.
That's clearly how
Good
you guys
that.
how you guys are going to deal with the Washington Capitals.
Correct.
Clearly.
Correct.
Wilson's on the ice. Lawton, he's yours. He may want to fight back. He may want that one again. Anyway, all tongue in cheek, but we're gonna show that one after the trade was made. But we're off on Monday, and yesterday was kind of a big, huge show. So we didn't get around to that one. Well, one other thing we should mention too, Jonathan Quick, by the way, signed the 1-year contract extension with the New York Rangers. $1.55 million is the AAV on that one. Okay, we have Lance Lysowski standing by, so we're going to turn our attention to the Buffalo Sabres. We're going to talk more about things like the triangle coming up later on the show, and we do have some of your emails. But joining me now from the Buffalo News on everything Buffalo is the great Lance Lysowski, who joins me now. Lance, how are you today? Thanks so much for coming on and putting up with this nonsense that's going to follow. Showing old 15-year-olds fighting in prospects games. Welcome to my career.
Always a pleasure, Jeff. Everything's going great in Detroit. Ready for Sabres versus Red Wings tonight.
Yes.
Big one for the Red Wings. Not so much for the Sabres, of course.
So, yeah, I mean, the Red Wings, 6th the wrong way here. Pretty quiet team around deadline, whereas there was a lot of activity around them, including the Buffalo Sabres themselves, who shipped off Dylan Cousins to the Ottawa Senators, who scored again yesterday. There is a history, as we all know. We don't have to go through all the players, of guys leaving Buffalo and then finding new fortunes and rejuvenating their careers. The most recent, of course, I would imagine would be Sam Reinhart, and that one still stings for Sabres fans. Let me start there then. The only way I know how to frame this one, Lance, is like this. Was that trade necessary? Did they have to do that?
No, it was an act of desperation to try to change the dynamic around the team. And Dylan Cousins had a lot of value. He's not a Kevyn Adams draft pick. That's a very important layer to this. Look at how many of Jason Botterill's draft picks have been traded over the years. 5 years left on his deal. And Dylan Cousins, he wanted to stay in Buffalo. 5 years left on his deal. He was just carrying around so much pressure over these last 16 or so months to where he just wanted to be the solution every night. And they thought that he wasn't going to figure it out here. To his fault, he was putting the work in, but the offense wasn't coming. He had the interest, and you just look at the trade that they made, Jeff. They had to throw in a 2nd-round pick in 2026, and we've been hearing about that draft class for a few years now, how strong it is. And if you're gonna go ahead and deal a player like that, we kept hearing about hockey trades, wanting to get a veteran here, but they brought in somebody in Josh Norris who, a lot of skill. He can score, but this team can score. We know that. That's not one of its weaknesses. One of its weaknesses, or many of its weaknesses, we can list a few of them here, are leadership and not enough veterans in the room. And you're not really checking out of their box with bringing in Josh Norris. It just seemed like one of those moves that you could have waited until the summer, especially you sit here last place. A lot of the players in that room they're questioning the direction of the team. Where are you taking this? How are you going to fix this, Kevyn Adams? And is he going to be around this summer to even make any of these moves? And it's a head scratcher. It really is. I think Josh Norris is a good player, but there's the health questions, and I'm not surprised at all to see Dylan Cousins. He looks like he has the weight of the world off his shoulders now. He looks like he's playing free and he's having fun again. You haven't seen that version of him in almost 2 years.
That you touch on something there that I think a lot of us wondered about going into trade deadline. Was Kevyn Adams going to be able to, bluntly, be able to have the reins taken off of him if they were ever on, but not be sort of neutered, I suppose, as a general manager? Was he going to be given the ability to make moves, and profound ones, like sending a player like Dylan Cousins to the Ottawa Senators? Listen, like you, I heard the same things at the beginning of the year. If there's no playoffs this year for the Buffalo Sabres, it's going to be ugly, right? And I don't like to be frivolous about people's jobs. I take no delight in this. Just this was the vibe around the team. Here we are, March 12th. We all know there's not going to be any playoffs for the Buffalo Sabres. How do you see the team now? Is it still, when this season is over, it's going to be a whole lot of the boss would like to see you in his office, please?
It's a good question. I think one aspect of this I wouldn't discount is season ticket renewals. if a lot of their season ticket base doesn't come back and it looks like they're going to lose a ton of money next year, and Terry Pegula feels the pressure that he has to do something to not only win over people outside his building and convince the fan base that he's trying to fix this, you also have to consider the players in the dressing room. Look at all the RFAs. JJ Peterka is not happy. Alex Tuck is going to be eligible to sign an extension July 1. What if he tells you he doesn't want to stay? Because nothing's going to change. You're just going to run it back with the same general manager and coach.
Right.
They have to show everybody involved that this is unacceptable. And to allow the same general manager, it's been almost 5 years, Jeff. It's been almost 5 years of Kevyn Adams. And this team has only regressed the past 2 years. We have not seen any improvement. They've gotten worse defensively under Lindy Ruff. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen has gotten worse this season with the way this team is defending. This team, it's been heading in the wrong direction the last few months. This is why Rasmus Dahlin went and wanted to hear from the general manager what his plan is.
Mm-hmm. That was I had Paul Bissonnette on yesterday, and he sort of talked about and he said the same thing on Chicklets. Listen, if things don't change here, let's look for a new area code. How did you? We know that there was a meeting between the two. I still don't know what happened at that meeting or what was said between the two. But how did you greet that bit of news yesterday?
Well, based on my conversations with people who have knowledge of the situation, Dahlin did not verbalize that he's going to want out if nothing improves. Of course he's frustrated. This is a guy who badly wants to win, and he wants to win in Buffalo. And all the guys in that room, like I just mentioned, they're frustrated. They don't know what the plan is here. What's the plan to fix this? Lindy Ruff was brought in, and so much of what Lindy Ruff has done has worked counter to all of the decisions that were made while Don Granato was coach. They brought up Zach Benson. Now he's stuck on the fourth line, and he's not really getting his development has basically stalled. Jack Quinn's development has stalled. Their defense core, it's like a Frankenstein. You've got all these left-handed shots, these skill sets that are kind of redundant. Matthias Samuelson's regressed under Lindy Ruff. They're gonna have money to spend, but you got all these guys who are they're irritated, they're surly, and they wanted to know, what are you going to do to improve the team? Jeff, I mean, you look at the 13-game winless streak. The only thing Kevyn Adams really did was hold a press conference in which he made comments that upset the players. That whole business about making excuses about no trade clauses, that irritated the players. They did not want to hear that. For you to frame Buffalo as a place guys don't want to play at, it is a reality. Everybody knows around the league Buffalo's on no trade list. The general manager did not have to put that out there 6 games into a skid. And the lack of leadership at the top of the organization has just permeated into that room. They already needed more adults in that room, right? Like Alex Tuck, Jason Zucker, Jordan Greenway. Those guys are doing their best to lead. But when you have a lot of guys who are just young and they've done nothing but lose, it creates sort of a negative environment. And that's what the Dylan Cousins trade was really done to address, is to try to bring in, to just change the dynamic, bring in a different personality. We've seen Josh Norris. He is a good personality. He is a guy who brings a lot of energy. Yep. They think that he can really help them on special teams. That has been such a weakness for this group. They can score on 5-on-5. They fail in so many other areas of the game. And whether it's ownership is going to have to step up and do something to show these guys that this is not going to be the same thing next season.
The one thing that I keep coming back to here, you're right there, so you can color this one in for me. I look at management and I see, well, what feels like Kevyn Adams on an island. This is Kevyn making decisions, period. I know that Jason Carmanos is part of the management group here, but I don't see senior advisors. I don't see people, that Kevyn can have conversations with. I don't see anyone who's had hands on the wheel before assisting a general manager through an incredibly delicate process here of trying to turn an entire hockey team around. I just kind of see this is Kevyn Adams waking up, looking at his phone and saying, okay, phone, it's you and me. Let's fix this. You know what I mean?
Lack of experience around Kevyn Adams. And it's partly his fault, Jeff. He didn't want it. There were experienced managers who were working for successful teams right now who were interested in working with Adams in Buffalo, and he resisted that management structure. He wanted to be in charge, and he hired a lot of inexperienced pro scouts. He hired inexperienced amateur scouts. He hired inexperienced people in the analytics department. I mean, Sam Ventura, he built out the analytics department, highly respected. I get it. But so far, the players they brought in because of analytics, it just hasn't worked out. And Jason Camanos, yeah, you mentioned him. He's experienced, but he's rarely in Rochester. He is based in Pittsburgh. He's not even based in Buffalo. So your most experienced manager is not even there in the day-to-day to really work with Kevyn Adams. So he's working in a silo in many ways. And yes, Lindy Ruff is starting to have influence on roster decisions. I think that he did have influence on the decision to trade Dylan Cousins. So you have Terry Pegula, who wants to be heard, wants to be listened to, who wants to have a say in how things are going and some of the decisions are made. He wants his opinion to be weighed in on. But yes, I think that is one of the biggest missteps in the Kevyn Adams regime was his resistance to bring in experienced people. And you look at their amateur side, they've had some really smart drafting because they've got their most experienced people, Jeff, are in amateur scouting. And It really does show with some of the players that they've picked, their ability to find some mid-round players who have ended up being really impact people down in Rochester. It is really remarkable what they've built with the Amherst when you consider that management's not there every day. It's just they've built, and Seth Appert and now Mike Leone and his coaches, they deserve a lot of credit, Nathan Page and Vinny Prospel, for maintaining that culture because they've just found a way to isolate it from everything that's gone on in Buffalo and all the sort of the dysfunction and some of the, it's the head-scratching development decisions that we've talked about so many times over the last couple of years, Jeff, that have just continued to bite this team.
Listen, you know better than I do. Rochester Americans might win the Calder Cup this year.
They might, with Devin Levi playing the way that he is. The team defense,
really good.
Noah Ostland is a player that people are going to start to hear about a lot more. He is super talented. Yeah, that is a kid that I would be holding on to.
But here's the thing about Rochester to me, and this is like a storied franchise. We'll talk about the Hershey Bears, the heritage team. Rochester Americans, like a heritage American Hockey League team. I look at the Buffalo Sabres lineup and I up and down, and even Dylan Cousins was one of them. Needed more time in the American League, or needed some time for some of these guys in the American Hockey League. I've always, I'm just theorizing this. I get these wacky theories about things. You know me, Lance. So my thought is that Kevyn Adams, when he was in Chicago, saw Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane go right into the lineup and have an impact. And I do wonder if that sort of spoiled the belief of how much you need the American Hockey League team, because you just watch two Hall of Famers step into the lineup. It's not the same as we can do the same thing here with the Rochester Americans, and just sort of maybe wave at that that float on the parade, but really they're going right into the key bank to play here. We don't need them in Rochester, and I know it's a theory, but I see it playing out all the time. Now they're doing more, but leaving guys down there. No, Ostland is someone you mentioned. They're finally doing the right thing with Devin Levi. I think this is the right place for him. Although when they first got him from college, I mean, if you look at the Buffalo Sabres social media, you thought this is the second coming of Dominik Hasek with the Buffalo Sabres. Never mind earned, not given. This was right this way. We're going to clear pass for you, and Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen's going to have to wait a dozen games before he gets a start because it's going to be, at so many different stages along the way. I just saw the Buffalo Sabres completely ignoring the development piece in all of it in Rochester, which, as you know, is so crucial if your names are not Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews. Agree, disagree?
I completely agree. Plus, you think about J.J. Peterka and Jack Quinn were brought up sooner than they probably would have in another organization, and they showed flashes that rookie season, and they were showing signs of development, and Kevyn Adams said, hey, I have Don Granato. I've got a coach that I trust to develop these players. We've got opportunity to give them. Let's let them grow. And they took for granted how much time they actually had. They were naive in thinking that the runway and the patience of the fan base was going to exist for a lot longer. Well, sorry, that's not the way it works. And then 22-23, they go on that run late. They finish with 91 points, and it created expectations where, well, now you got to win. Well, Jack Quinn got hurt. They rushed Zach Benson, and it just, the cycle repeated. And they've missed on free agents. They missed on Ilya Lyubushkin, Connor Clifton, Eric Johnson. And when you're a team that's really having trouble attracting free agents, and You've got to be a little bit more creative on who you're acquiring to round out the margins of your roster. Your margin for error is a lot more thin. When you're missing on players like that, it really hurts. And Ryan Johnson's another player, Jeff. They rushed him to the league last year because Erik Johnson wasn't playing well, and Ryan Johnson looked completely lost in his defensive zone. And then you got a locker room full of players who were expected to win last season, wondering why the heck did you rush this rookie into the league in a season when you told us we were going to be competing for a playoff spot. So they did nothing to replace Quinn. And it's just, so I think there is a distrust now between the players and management in terms of they don't agree with the direction of this franchise and the decisions that have been made. I think that there was some goodwill built last summer by bringing in Jason Zucker, by acquiring Ryan McLeod. Those were some good moves. But as soon as the season started and rocky times really began with that winless streak, Kevyn Adams didn't do anything. He didn't do anything during the winless streak except give a bad press conference.
That was when we look back on the entire season. That press conference is going to stick out, as you all know, for all the wrong reasons. I do want to ask you about Terry Pegula through all of this. Has the success of the Buffalo Bills? I don't want to say that he's an absentee landlord with the Buffalo Sabres because I don't think that's fair. But has the success of the Buffalo Bills come at the expense of the Buffalo Sabres? Do you think that's
definitely
fair to say?
I think it's fair to say. When you own an NFL team and you're building a new stadium and all the responsibilities that come with that, yeah, you're not going to be able to be as in tune or on the ground day to day like some owners are. And to be honest with you, I think that the success of the Bills has also sort of leaned into some of the struggles with the Sabres because you think back to he hired Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane, neither of whom had experience in their particular jobs. McDermott, first-time head coach, Beane, first-time general manager. The sports are different, though, okay? And you have to hire experienced people in hockey, especially where your team is at. And I think the problem with Terry has just been a complete inability of diagnosing the problems with the hockey team. Firing people too soon, just very reactionary decisions. And now it's, I think over time and how quickly he's been to fire people, it's gone the complete opposite, where now he's exercising too much patience. And some of it, based on conversations I've had, is he trusts Kevyn Adams. And he doesn't want to go out and hire somebody from the outside, somebody who's experienced, who's worked for other teams, because Terry wants somebody he can trust. And he feels like...
Can we pause on that for 1 second? Because what I do wonder about, Lance, is considering all the things that are happening in Terry Pegula's life, and we'll just focus on the Bills specifically, but there are other things around the Pegula family, certainly. Do you think part of Terry Pegula here is saying, you know what, I have a lot going on right now. I don't know that I have the time or the energy to pay attention to the Buffalo Sabres as much as they need right now. And there's no one in there acting sort of under Terry who can take that position. Do you think that's fair?
I think he has enough time and energy to pay attention. I don't think he has enough time or energy to go find a new general manager that he trusts and somebody he could build a relationship with. He's known Kevyn Adams for over a decade. I think it's been 13 years at this point. And to really start over, and you heard all the complaints he had about Jason Barrell when he fired him back in 2020. We weren't being listened to. We want to do it a certain way. This hockey operations department leaning into analytics and video, that's Pegula's vision. He stated that in June 2020 when he fired everybody. So as much as this is Kevyn Adams, behind the steering wheel, he is following the plan and the edict that Pegula laid out almost 5 years ago. So he would want to bring somebody in to follow that exact vision. And think about all the general managers around the league, Jeff. Who would want to run the team the way that Terry Pegula necessarily wants to? Going cheap in certain ways, leaning into too much video and analytics. There's obviously an in-between there. So I think that now, with where they're at, the struggles, and Terry Pegula trying to diagnose what's going on, he's leaning on Lindy Ruff. Lindy Ruff was handpicked by Terry Pegula to be the coach. And it's not that Kevyn Adams didn't want Lindy Ruff, but Kevyn Adams' preference, if they were going to fire Don Granato, was to put Seth Appert behind the Sabres bench. Mm-hmm. And Terry stepped in and said, no, I want somebody experienced, and I want Lindy Ruff. He's available. This is the guy that I want. And when you brought in Lindy Ruff, yes, the structure and accountability was the focus. but it also neglected all of the impacts it was going to have on the roster that you built for another coach and another style of play. And that has really led to some of the struggles in terms of how they're playing, the steps, some of the regression we've seen from young forwards and the frustration we know exists in that dressing room right now, and sort of a disconnect on how they feel they should be playing and what Lindy Ruff is asking them to do, particularly in the defensive zone.
Let me ask you about something that I should have asked earlier, because it's one of, if maybe not the most important question, that's the fans, the people that have the nerve to buy tickets. I've always maintained that you're not in trouble when fans stop buying tickets. You're in trouble when fans buy tickets but choose not to go. That's real trouble. Are we there yet? I look at some of the crowds, the costume parties. I'm dressed as an empty seat. We've all seen them. Like I was shocked. I know it's been a throwaway season, but like Connor McDavid's in the building and still nothing. Are we at the point where, yeah, I have a Sabres ticket, but nah? Because that to me is always that to me that to me is the signal of we're in real trouble here. Not refusing to buy a ticket because you can get people back, but once you've bought that ticket and you choose not to go, that to me is the real sign of trouble. Are we there yet in Buffalo?
We're there yet at this point of the season. It's been interesting because at the start of the year, there was a lot of excitement with Lindy's return. Some of the moves they made in the summer, but then they started poorly. The winless streak happened. Some interest really increased once the Bills season ended. They had some good attendance numbers, but with the way they're playing right now, fans they're tired of it. You look at that game they played in Florida last Saturday. It was ugly. Really good game, to their credit, on Monday against the Oilers, but the inconsistency just drives fans crazy. There's only a couple of players on this team that are having good seasons right now. You could probably point to 4 or 5. The rest of it's just guys are underperforming, and a lot of it is just it's the lack of change. Right? It's nothing happening during the winless streak. Nothing was done at the trade. Yes, you traded Dylan Cousins for Josh Norris to change the dynamic of the team, but you didn't improve the team. Like the team is not better right now. It's very difficult to sit here and say that. It's only a couple of games. We'll see, but it's not like the Sabres went out and swung a big deal to make the team better, right? I mean, Owen Power still needs a D partner. Mm-hmm. You still got a lot of guys who are going into the summer without contracts, and there's a lot of uncertainty around this organization right now, and they haven't done anything to address the concerns of the fan base. And it's going to be very interesting to see season ticket renewals and what fan unrest is going to look like the last month of the season if this team struggles.
You mentioned JJ Peterka a couple of moments ago. I want to end on this because I know you're busy. It's game day. Swords facing off against Red Wings tonight. We know that owners have their favorite players. Used to be Zemgus Girgensons for the Buffalo Sabres. That was a big, he was a big fan of Girgensons. And now, for whatever reason, and I believe part of it, I think Terry Pegula was very important, along with, I think, his daughter, one of his daughters who was living in Germany at the time. Like it was sort of like it had something to do with the Sabres taking JJ Peterka. It was almost like a family thing. I think like it was like that's a real source of pride for the Pegula family that they have JJ Peterka with the Buffalo Sabres. Is it accurate to say, like, not that players are always, hands off, he's the owner's guy, but is JJ Peterka the new favorite of Terry Pegula, as I've been told?
I've heard that as well, and I don't see a scenario. Like, I know offer sheets are a possibility here this summer. The Sabres would match, I think, any offer sheet when it comes to JJ Peterka. And remember, he is the one success story, the major success story of Kevyn Adams drafting so far. Like Jack Quinn, we'll see. Matt Savoy was traded. Owen Power hasn't looked like the best player in the 21 class. So really, JJ Peterka trading up and getting him back in 2020 has been a massive success. He has continued to improve. Of course, he's got some deficiencies in the D zone, and he's got to really work on that area of his game. But yeah, this is a player that everybody in the organization wants to badly keep. So no matter who's making the decisions at the end of the season, whether it's Kevyn Adams or somebody else, one of the primary goals, or maybe the primary objectives, is to convince JJ Peterka to stay and to sign long term because they very much like the player, and I mean I don't blame it. He has been very good this season. Started a little slow, but he has been one of their best forwards and somebody that you can certainly build around. And the chemistry that he has with Tage Thompson shouldn't be overlooked either. They are very good together.
Okay, Sabres fans, so cheer up. Every day the sun comes up. Lance, you're the best on the beat. Thanks, as always, for stopping by. Much appreciated. Enjoy the game tonight.
Always a pleasure, Jeff. Thanks for having me. Talk soon.
There he is, the great Lance Lysowski from the Buffalo News, covering the Buffalo Sabres. Look, I told you it wasn't going to... maybe I didn't mention. I probably should have mentioned at the top of the show. It's not necessarily going to be the happiest of programs today when you start talking about the Buffalo Sabres, but that's kind of where the Swords are at. And I've said before on the program, it looks like a lot of the players here, and the chat, by the way, is saying, like, yeah, spitting fire, spitting truth bombs, all of it from Lance Lysowski. You can't shine this apple. Like, I'm sorry, like... The Sabres are who they are, and we can all sort of point to what the problems are. And I think, like a lot of things, you go all the way right up to the top here. And as we chatted about, the relationship between Terry Pegula and Kevyn Adams, I mean, that is a friendship and a relationship that goes back a number of years. That is who Terry Pegula very much wanted to run his organization, and Kevyn Adams is there. And I think the jury's still very much out on how we're going to value and measure this trade. Dylan Cousins and Josh Norris, and that second round pick, Zach, that you and I talked about when it came down, and we said, where did the second round pick come from? But anyway, I want to turn our attention in a couple of seconds here and maybe sort of send people off on a positive note, or let me at least have a giggle or something. After that one, I was like, oh man, we got to put some black drapes around the place. We had a funeral here. Like, what's going on? She get like some purple cadaver gloves on or something. I don't know, Zach, but it's
I know, I felt so bad. Like, we had Lance on, he was so good, and then it was like partway through, I'm like, this is kind of depressing. Like,
oh, dude,
it's
and
great
like,
coverage, but this is just
when you
so
think
sad.
Just when you think we're wrapping up, it's like, no, man, we're just adding up, and it's still going. It's still going. It's still going. You say to yourself, like, how is this going to turn around? Yeah. Like, honestly, like, and listen, I know that the way that Kevyn Adams said it, it's probably not the best way to do it, but he's not wrong. Like, it is you're not gonna go out there and just like pocketbook this team and change this team with a couple of Terry Pegula checks. Like, a lot of the damage, again, like the damage shows up when you don't develop your players. It shows up, and it shows up for a long, long time. I don't know how this thing is gonna turn around. I don't think anybody knows how this thing is gonna turn around.
Try living it.
I listen, Puggle, and by the way, great avatar there. I get it. I feel you. Like, again, like I've said on this program a number of different times, I don't cheer for teams. I cheer for players. But if you said pick one team that you want to cheer for, Marek, a team that's like been close to your heart since you were a little kid and you grew up watching them and have always had a little place in your hockey heart, it's the Buffalo Sabres for me. And the voice of Ted Darling. Like, I'm going to the crematorium one day thinking about the Buffalo Sabres, and I'm hearing Ted Darling's voice. It was like one of the first hockey voices that resonated with me ever was Ted Darling's voice. And I grew up in like the French Connection era, and then Danny Gare, and like tough players too, like King Kong Korab and Playfair. And then there's the Hasek era, and like, holy smokes, man. Like, again, if there's one team that I really want to see do well and turn it around for that incredible fan base of, not just people in and around Buffalo, but also the Golden Horseshoe, like St. Catharines, Hamilton, like fans that go there to watch games. Christ, I went to see so many games there when I was a kid. When I was at university at Guelph, we would load up on the weekends and drive down to the Odd and go see Buffalo Sabres games. Like, I was at the playoff game where Alex McGillney broke his leg against Montreal. Like, I have so many great memories of seeing Sabres games. Just want to have it back. Just want Buffalo to be a good team again. Like, none of this is like, oh, you have it in for the Buffalo Sabres. Like, you just gotta, like, art and science does the same thing. Describes what's there, right? Just uses different vocabulary. All we're doing is just describing what's there. And I don't know how you can put a positive spin on this thing at all. Maybe get lucky in the draft. couple guys. I don't know, man.
But like, is that like that's not a that's not a plan? You know what I mean? Like,
No.
we just heard Lance outline what's going on. Like, like, you know what? You know how we're gonna turn this thing around? Well, we'll find someone in the draft. Okay, how? Huh? Bring your horseshoes, boys.
Yeah, hope is not planned. Okay, what do you?
No.
Okay, hang on a second here. Okay, off the Sabres. Do you have anything more on the Buffalo Sabres? I want to address something here. Do we have anything more on the Swords?
No. I said my piece, I think, over the last like week or so, and Lance kind of just put the exclamation point on it.
So everyone's going to get offer sheeted, and it's just going to be more of a disaster, and players are going to get stolen. But here we got some more picks. Is that what we're looking at this? Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. We good? We good on the Swords?
Pot of gold. Yeah, good.
Okay. What are you doing?
What?
What are you doing?
Are you talking about the poll in the chat?
Yeah, it's awesome. What are you doing? Okay.
That was J-Rock asked for that poll.
Oh, the J-Rock? Okay, all right.
Yeah,
you get a pass on that.
I just put it up for him. Yeah.
Oh, look at this. I get like a Marine Midland reference in the chat. Like John R. Right on. What is worse? Red Wings playoff hopes, Johnny Lazarus's photo shoot, or Zach's hair? Detroit's not looking so good. Your feathers actually aren't that bad. He kind of cleaned it up a little bit. Yeah. Okay, yeah, very good. Yeah, not jealous at all. Okay, nice, yes. I don't know. That last photo shoot's pretty special. You want to show people? I'm going to do last photo shoot. Can we do it? I'll
try to get it quickly here so we can grab it for the show. Oh man,
54% Red Wings playoff hopes. Number one.
Poor Red Wings, hey?
Jeff sounds like he's talking to a puppy. Thanks, Spencer. What are you doing? Look at the mess you made. Who's going to clean that up? No, I'm talking to you like a parent. Zach.
That's all right.
What's wrong with you?
Hold on.
How do you get through a day? Look at this. Look at this mess. This is what happened. We leave you on a
minute by minute. Yeah, pretty much. There we go.
Did you grab it?
Hold on. In real time.
It's so good. First of all, I love Laz. Like, he has the balls to put this up there about himself. Oh, I got to grab you my mullet picture still from university.
Yeah,
me rocking a DeMaurier light and a big mullet and a Sid and Nancy shirt. Good Lord, chick repellent, Marek. It's the worst.
I mean, in fairness, I should have anticipated that this last photo could have been brought up here today, so I should have had that one prepared, but there it is. That's the one I chose to go with.
The Ovechkin smile, too.
Yep, missing teeth.
Just
I go to John. I go to Laz's Instagram.
He's just like
not Instagram, sorry, Twitter to see the other ones, and I'm certain they're going to talk about it tomorrow. But yeah,
look at those teeth, man. He could like eat an apple through a tennis racket. Look at those teeth. He eat an apple through a fence. When you're a kid and your grandma would take you to the zoo, see the donkeys and give him an apple. That's the donkey.
Yep.
Eating the apple through the fence. Right there. I love him. God bless him.
Poor lad.
So good.
Yeah, go to his Twitter account to see the rest of them. And they will talk about it on Morning Cup of Hockey tomorrow. But
it's so good.
That was good.
That
was
awesome.
good. You want to do the triangle?
Sure.
Yeah,
it's kind of a goofy Wednesday here. Wrapping the show. Chat's been fun. Funny comments. I don't know. Like, I feel like I need something funny. I think I need something fun, like something entertaining after talking about the Sabres. Like, I'm serious. Like, after half an hour talking to the Swords, like, Lance is awesome. Can you imagine being Lance and having to live that every day? Dude. I always feel for the beat beat guys and girls, because it's like, you got to live this every single day. I remember when I was working at AM 640, and we had the Maple Leafs rights. So it was like live and die. Well, you know this. Live and die with the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Mm-hmm. But I do, but I don't, because I was a fan of it. And, like, I started my show the year they lost to the Habs in the playoffs when they blew the series lead. So I've only known playoffs. And like... Matthews and Marner and Nylander. So I had the thought the other day, I was like, wow, like, you know, this is kind of miserable. Like, we just lose in the first round. I'm like, we could just not make the playoffs, and then I have to cover that.
Yeah. Oh, here's one. Hang on. We got a couple of interesting ones here. Where did it go? You could cover. Oh, the Bandits are great from Pablo Barossa. The Bandits are great. Jeff, talk a little NLL. You'd love that. Hey, did you see that lacrosse ref last week? With the greatest call of all time. Did you play it on your show?
My partner was correct. No, I didn't. I should have done that.
Can we play it? Can we find it and play it? Like, I need a laugh. It's the funniest thing I've seen in a while. I'm like, we're totally doing that. Like, folks, I don't know if you get the idea yet on this program. We put together like a rough outline of what we want to do on the show every day. And then I just drive a dump truck through it. And then poor Zach's like thinking about his life choices of saying like, yeah, I'll work with Marek. Yeah, sure. Yeah, no, it'll be fun. It'll be like cool and stuff. He must be really easy to work with. Yeah, such a pro, been in the business since '95. Like, yeah, he's got to be such a total, thorough professional. Everything is planned, and none of this is just flying by the seat of our pants here. I'm gonna get a real, a lot of experience out of this guy. Gonna learn a lot, Instead,
keep filling time.
Hey,
here.
go find the video of the funny lacrosse referee.
It is a really good clip. And
honestly,
also, the Buffalo Bandits
fantastic.
are awesome.
I used to love going to Toronto Rock games. I loved it. Loved it every time. No, I never played. I mean, I played a little bit as a kid, and then actually during the lockout of 04-05, we used to broadcast Toronto Rock games on 640, and that was the year they won the championship. They already won it like 3 years previous too. And because my partner that I was doing the radio show with, Bill Waters, was one of the owners of the team, and his son was the president. So I got to go to tons of Toronto Rock games. I still maintain, as far as quality of entertainment, like sports entertainment, quality of sports entertainment per dollar, lacrosse is the best. Lacrosse has every other sport beat.
It's really high paced. I played all the way through, right? I played even junior lacrosse as well there all the way till the end. So it's just high paced. There's no breaks in action. It's physical. It's tight quarters. It's high scoring.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's high scoring. It's violent. It's
high
skilled. It's like you come out of your seats because like some of these plays are incredible. I've always been surprised at how lacrosse hasn't caught on more mainstream, specifically in Canada, since like it's like our sport, and you can wrap it in a flag and pour maple syrup on it and say like "Go Canada," and it's so good and it's so close, like similar to hockey, that it's not a tough game to pick up. I've always maintained it's a great crossover sport for young hockey players. I know because both my kids, we put them in lacrosse early, and to this day, the reason why they skate with their heads up, I think, is because they played lacrosse, and so they were used to the object of play being up here, and they weren't just like looking at the floor, which is disaster in hockey when hitting starts. You got the clip?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, so this is the call of the year in all of sports, as far as I'm concerned. Imagine an NHL official, like Wes McCauley's got the great calls, but imagine an NHL official doing this after blowing a call. All right, Philly, good job. Let's watch it.
After review, my partner nailed it and I was wrong. That's a good goal.
Now, I don't like the good goal part, but we'll get into that. After review, my partner nailed it and I was wrong.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure, by the way, too, here, Jeff, this is the same ref. I'll do some back searching on this. Yeah. There was a call that happened in 2019, 2018. Mm-hmm. And the ref goes over to the penalty box. There was like a fight, scrum kind of thing. And he says on the mic, it's become pretty clear that these two just can't get along. I think that it's this ref. I'll try to find out for you for sure. Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. Can we do it one more time, and then I swear we'll move on. I thought the show was going to be quicker today. Boy, did I blow that one too.
Not the case here.
I just need to laugh. I just need to laugh today. Sorry.
After review, my partner nailed it and I was wrong. That's a good goal.
Who is that guy? That's a guy.
That's so
with.
good.
I like that guy.
It's so good.
Give me that guy. You know what? Let's park that because I want to play that for Berkey. Berkey would love that.
Let me see. I'll see if I'll hold on to that in here, and I'll see if I can find out if it's the same ref. Because I also found the clip of his old one, so his old call. But we'll figure it out.
You want to do it? You have it, or you want to? No,
I know it and get it in here.
Come on, Zach. Let's go. It sounds like
it.
an excuse, Zach. I'm gonna be like your old coach at YSC. Sounds like an excuse there, Philly. Maybe we'll find someone else to do that, Philly. Hey, Vic, you ever work a split shift? I know you do mornings. Put a couple extra bucks in your
11
jeans.
a.m.
All right, let's do a couple of things here, and then wrap it up. Although,
Okay.
oh, Jim the Swede, Wes McCauley would be like, my partner's an idiot and I rule. No goal. That would be funny too. My partner's an idiot and I rule.
Good.
No goal. Okay, I'm feeling better about myself now.
Let's see. Come on.
Let's do triangle. You got triangle?
This is who this is. Yeah,
What are
you
you
want to do
doing?
the triangle?
You know the
Trying to
show's
figure
still
out the
on
ref.
right now. You know, like we're still live. Like the
I'm
show's
trying to guess.
still continuing here, right?
I'm trying to get stuff in the background for you. All right, here's the triangle. You want to do the triangle?
Okay, so let's do
the
triangle one more time. We'll bore people with the triangle one more time. Just that I'm so fascinated by this. So you see that triangle? Can you pause it? Can we do a quick pause right before Zuccarello lets go of the shot? This is last night's shootout. So Zuccarello comes in. Watch. Okay, so there is a triangle between the heel of the stick, the right toe, and the top of the blade where it hits the pad. Goalies can't stop that. That is a place where they are exposed, specifically left-hand shots, coming in on a left-catch goaltender. That is where guys, more so than ever, are shooting again and again and again. And you will hear people say, oh, he scored 5-hole. It's not 5-hole. That's triangle. This is going to be my new good goal. That's not 5-hole. That's triangle. Come aboard. Be a hockey hipster, along with your buddies Jeff and Zach. That's actually not 5-hole. That's triangle. Say it to yourself. Well, maybe to you that's 5-hole, but to me that's triangle. And now that you've seen it, it's all that you'll see every time it goes in. Watch your left-hand shots coming in. All right. Do we have anything else for today? Oh, we have some emails.
Yeah.
A couple of emails before we get to the games. We got a couple of good ones, too, and we have some audio to play for you as well. I thought we were going to get in early today. We may go longer than yesterday. Blah, 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 Marek.
Yeah,
Shut up, Marek. Stop talking. Enough, buddy. Enough out of you, Marek. Jeez. Let Philly speak. All right. So for emails.
It's okay.
The email address, by the way, thesheet@thenationnetwork.com. Let's do the one from Christopher Nelson. Can we do this one?
Yep.
Okay. So this is from Christopher Nelson. Again, thesheet@thenationnetwork.com. A couple of weeks ago, you started talking about monotone PA announcers. Yes, I love them. I love them for NHL games. And your memories of Paul Morris at Maple Leaf Gardens, the late great. As a Blackhawks fan of the same vintage as yourself, this struck a chord, reminding me of the voice of the Chicago Stadium, Harvey Wittenberg. Please enjoy this piece. Harvey's name is spelled 3 different ways in the video. And Pat Foley and Dale Talon suggested he might be drinking on the job after he hilariously stumbles over a goal announcement. His calling Mike Stapleton Pat is still the cherry on top. Nonetheless, it gives us an excuse to talk. I have a fascination and love for monotone arena announcers. That's why I love Paul Morris. This audio you're going to hear is beautiful. If you're watching on YouTube, there's video to go with it. He was the public address announcer at Chicago Stadium from Chicago Blackhawks from 1961 to 2002. Nowadays, teams want their public address announcer to be over the top and let's get going and put your hands together and rock. No thanks. there is plenty of room for monotone in hockey, as my career will prove. But for the purposes of this email, let's hear from the great Harvey Wittenberg.
Chicago goal by Bobby Hall.
All business.
Assisted by Murray Balfour and Red Hayes at 8:56.
I don't know what it is about the voice that's just so blunt and matter of fact and just lets the moment carry itself. Like the fans take it. Like, can I pause on one thing? You know what's really been lost at hockey games now? And I've only noticed this thought about this the last 5 years or so. You know what's gone at hockey games? People don't talk to each other. People don't talk to each other at hockey games because the game's either going on or it's just over. I'm going to sound like old guy here. Old guy alert. I get it. But like, it's just like, it's noise and different sponsorship activations. You don't get a chance to talk to anybody at the game. Like once upon a time, like hockey games were like, it wasn't just a sporting event. It's like a meeting place. You went and you met people and you went and talked to them. It doesn't exist anymore because the PA announcer is screaming at you. Man, I do sound old. Screaming at you all game long. Maybe that's why I like the monotone PA announcers.
No, you're right though. Like I think about it often when I go to Blue Jays games. You know exactly what one.
Yeah.
Everybody clap your hands.
Stop telling me what to do. I'm here. I bought a ticket. I want to watch the ball game. Won't have to worry about that this year though. You won't see me on Sky Dome. Not with this management crew and what they're doing to that team. Anyhow.
Boycotting.
Yeah, no thanks. Not interested. Do we got time for one more?
Yeah, we do.
All right. Which one are we doing here?
Let's do the actually I forget who this was. They were playing against Buffalo in this one, but I thought that this one was a good clip here from them. If you want to do this.
Let's do it.
Buffalo goal scored by Plant, assisted by Audette and May at 2:45.
Oh, that's a beautiful call.
That's it.
Give me the monotone guys. Give me the monotone guys all day long. Do we have time for one more email, or we got to hustle out of here?
Yeah. Well, whatever you want to do.
All right. I just want to be respectful of people's time. Okay, let's get in one more email here. And again, thesheet@thenationnetwork.com. I'm going to try to get more of these in here. Okay. Hey, Jeff, I forget if this was on the program or the prior program, but I'll always remember you rant on it's a good goal versus it's a goal. I know, it's so true. In fact, since that rant, I noticed more and more of it's a goal rather than good goal. Curious if you know the reason it's changed or were the cause of this. Separately, when teams challenge a goal and it fails, what is the official penalty that the team is charged with? As always, thank you for the great content. Debatable. Cole from New Jersey. All right, thanks, Cole. So first of all, the penalty is minor for delay of game. If you fail a challenge, it is a 2-minute minor for delay of game. I don't, I'll tell you, Philly, I don't know if like something has gone out from Stephen Walkom, the head of the officials in the NHL. But there are more and more officials who are choosing just to say we have a goal or it's a goal as opposed to good goal, which, as you know, has always kind of bugged me. But do we have the clip from Monday in the Utah-Toronto game? It's almost like the referee wanted to say good goal but didn't want to get roasted by someone, so paused and then said goal. Yeah. Let's fire this one off.
After video review is determined that we have a goal.
Goal. Not a good goal. A goal.
We have a goal.
The reason I wonder if something has gone out from the league, I'll make a phone call about this after. The reason I wonder if a phone call has gone out from the league is when the league updates, like they'll send out emails on sort of controversial plays, and then they'll say like for like goalie interference or offside, whatever, and they'll say if the verdict is it's a goal, what goes out from the NHL, it's something along the lines of, and I'm paraphrasing, therefore we have a goal, or therefore it is a goal. Like the NHL doesn't use the good goal verbiage itself. I do wonder if the NHL is trying to get the officials to do same. And some guys seem to be having a hard time with it. But I'll tell you, Philly, like after on Monday, after that announcement, my phone kind of went boom. Like we stopped like getting in officials' heads. We stop talking about this. Just let them make the calls they want to make. When you got to be a cop on the beat for their vocabulary.
Do you not think that there's any credit to you for this? That there's any involvement? Because
I don't know.
We've brought this up so many times. And you've been all over this.
I brought it up so many times on the old 32 pod, and I brought it up here a number of times too. I don't know. My answer is I don't know. I really don't. I don't know that I've affected the game that much.
I'm going to give you the credit.
Oh, yeah, thanks.
I'll give you the credit.
Okay,
the chat's saying that you were in his head. He was thinking about you. Tommy T and John there saying he was thinking about you as he went to make the call.
Marek's going to roast me if I say a good goal, or a bunch of people are going to. I do love it, by the way, when people tweet at me for a good goal and triangle now. I get the triangle. You get the triangle tweets?
Yeah, I've got them sent to me. I've had people just DM them to me too, which is like, did you see this one? I'm like, no, actually I didn't, but there you go.
We'll just do a daily count of the triangle. We'll just do daily count of the triangle goals here on the show. Look, man, we got like our next 10 polls to playoffs. We got time.
Yeah, that's true.
We used to be playing fast and loose with people's time these days on the program. Why not?
Yeah.
Here's today's triangle goal. Oh, fuck, again, these guys are the triangle goals. Okay, we get it.
Fuck triangle goal.
Welcome to our
They're going to
lives.
stop sending them to us.
Yeah, just make these guys shut up with the dumb triangle goals. But if you see them, send them in, and we'll get them on.
Yes.
All right,
please.
a couple of things for tonight, because we got like a couple of really interesting games tonight. One is spectacular. FanDuel, proud to connect fans to the major sports moments that matter to them. And as always, roster updates from Daily Faceoff Fantasy, a great Twitter/X feed. Buffalo Sabres, I don't know if you caught Lance Lysowski earlier on in the seance, earlier on talking about the Buffalo Sabres, again with the black curtains. We should have actually talked to Lance in hushed tones, like we're at a service or something like that. Did you know the deceased well, Lance? I probably should have said like halfway through.
The lighting in his room was like a little dim too, as well. It was just like,
do you know if they're serving lunch after? And if so, do you know?
And it's always the colorful sandwiches.
Triangles. Triangle again.
Yeah.
Triangles again. American Philly with the fucking triangles. Buffalo, Detroit, Little Caesars Arena. 7:30 Eastern. I don't know if you know this, but the Detroit Red Wings have lost 6 in a row. Peter Mrazek starts, and I love this, by the way, on our Daily Faceoff fantasy feed. They let me find this here. Peter Mrazek starts. Brock Sagan puts this up, and our Daily Faceoff fantasy feed amplified it. The last time Peter Mrazek started for the Detroit Red Wings was February 18th, 2018, in the game against the Toronto Maple Leafs. It's a 3-2 win for your Toronto Maple Leafs. I believe Austin Matthews with the game winner. Here was the Detroit lineup, as Sagan puts out. Nyquist with Zetterberg and Mantha. Athanasiou with Datsuk and Tatar. I should probably do the centers first. Nilsson with Helm and Abdelkader, Afrogator. Bertuzzi and Glendening, they went with 7D in this one. Eriksson and Daly. Eriksson, the best looking hockey player ever. Like, just Greek god.
I don't know why I'm blanking on what he looks like right now.
Oh, come on, man. Like, everything on him was perfect. I suspect. It's probably the best looking hockey player ever.
Yeah,
it was also
pretty
Mr.
good-looking
Relevant.
dude.
Right?
Henrik
Good luck.
Lundqvist, though. Yeah. I still
fair.
think Henrik Lundqvist takes cake. Yeah.
But Swedes, right? Swedes, again.
Yeah, that's also...
Okay.
Yeah, they're okay,
Right.
fair.
Sorry, can't compete. Eriksson and Daly, De Kaiser and Jensen, Kronwall and Ouellette, and Witkowski. Going 70. And because you're curious, Brock Sagan also puts your Maple Leafs lineup. Matthews, Hyman, and Nylander. Kadri with Marner and Marlowe, Bozak with Brown and JVR, Moore with Komarov and Kapanen, and here's your blue line, Hainsey with Riley, Gardner with Zaitsev, Dermott with Carrick, Connor Carrick. There you go. Brock Sagan with the info. Anyway, that's 1 of 4 games on the board this evening. Detroit and Buffalo, Calgary and Vancouver. We'll see about Quinn Hughes. Like, he traveled with the Vancouver Canucks. A tough loss last night against the Montreal Canadiens. As we all know, these are two teams competing for a wild card spot in the Western Conference. Vancouver loses, get doubled up by the Habs yesterday. Scotiabank Saddledome. And are we allowed to call him Calder Trophy favorite Dustin Wolf starts? Did you put him over Hudson, Celebrini? Look what he's done for Calgary. Look what he's done.
No.
Look what he's done. What's San Jose doing? Now, I know it's a more impactful position playing net, but look what he's done for Calgary. They're in the freaking playoff position.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, Dustin Wolf right now is plus 1,500 on FanDuel to win the Calder.
Is he favorite? Is that favorite? Is that number one?
No, minus 210 is Macklin Celebrini. Then in between them is Lane Hudson plus 290, Matvey Michkov plus 700, Dustin Wolf plus 1,500. Well, I may be coming back to FanDuel after the show ends.
Anaheim and Utah at the Delta Center at 10 o'clock Eastern. Karel Vejmelka starts there. Montreal, Seattle at Climate Pledge this evening. Montreal 2 points out of WC2. Is Slavkovsky versus Wright still a thing? Like, is this still like,
no.
After a while, like Taylor versus Tyler just sort of died off from the old 2010 draft. Yeah. Is Slavkovsky Wright still a thing? Like, once upon a time, this would be a huge game. Oh, Shane Wright against a team that dissed them, that overlooked them, that, you know, it's not really a thing anymore, is it?
No, I don't think so. That's not something I've thought about in a long time, is just how that draft played out. I don't know. It doesn't feel like impactful or like I care that much. I mean, one of my buddies is a Habs fan, was texting me this morning and was like, yeah, like Shane Wright's going to score tonight. But outside of that,
Slavkovsky had 3 points against Vancouver last night. What do you think about that? Yeah, I know. He has played a lot better. Patrick Laine illness, game time decision there. And, you know, about an hour after we said it's going to be a quicker show today, here we are. Hour and 15 minutes later. No discipline. No discipline.
Yeah, no.
No discipline.
But we covered everything and more.
Did we get everything in?
Yep, everything that we had ready to go for today or wanted to do. And
Brian H. It's no Sid versus Ovi. That's right. That's true.
This is true. You know what we don't do either? Which I kind of is. It's not like there is debate, and like it made me think about it because the Morning Cup of Hockey, you guys talked about McKinnon and McDavid, and they showed their point totals over the last 2 years.
Yeah.
We don't talk about like Eichel, McDavid, and I don't think that there's I don't think that is a competition.
No.
But they were the same draft, and like there was.
The thing is,
big conversation going in, you know?
Yeah.
Is it just too far of a gap? Like, do we just not care anymore? Like, that's also one that's not really brought up, is the same draft.
But the thing is, and much like Taylor versus Tyler, which was really just the thing going in, they both played in different conferences to start. Now they're both in the same conference, but, you know, Jack started in Buffalo and Connor started in Edmonton. Sagan started in Boston and Hall started in Edmonton. You want them you want them in the same division, it would add up. But like, look, Slavkovsky, Montreal, and Shane Wright's out in Seattle. Like, you want the ones that are like beside each other.
Yeah,
that's the one. Like Jack Hughes, Capo Caco. We allowed to say that? That never really got off the ground either, did it?
Amazing.
What's that?
Yeah, that video is still amazing. Of
the Rangers
what is it?
Fans?
It's Rangers fans.
Rangers fans, like just going banana sandwich when New Jersey took Jack Hughes. You don't know. You don't know. You don't know. All right. Enough of our act. Thanks for joining us once again. If you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, thank you. Watching us live in the chat, just watching us live, watching us in archive. Thank you so much. Always much appreciated. Don't forget, tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock Eastern, Morning Cup of Hockey. Johnny Lazarus, Colby Cohen. Do not miss that show. Today was excellent again. I recommend you go back and check the archives. Shane Pinto stopping by, and John Buchagras from ESPN stopping by as well. So we'll see what's aboard tomorrow for the boys. Our act is back tomorrow, 3 o'clock Eastern, right here on our Daily Faceoff YouTube channel and your favorite podcast platform. It is The Sheet. On behalf of Zach Phillips, you can call him Philly, Marek signing off. And by the way, there may be something really cool in store for Leafs Morning Take in the next little while. Stay by your socials for an announcement. On that, we'll wrap it up. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Peace out. Back tomorrow. Go Sabres. If you enjoyed that video, and we certainly hope that you do, please hit the subscribe button right there here at Daily Faceoff. I will put this lineup up against any hockey lineup anywhere. It all gets underway at 9 o'clock Eastern with Morning Cup of Hockey. That is Johnny Lazarus. That is Colby Cohen. Then at noon, it's DFO Live. And then 3 o'clock Eastern, The Sheet. Get caught up on everything in hockey.